Ladies and gentlemen, due to a containment anomaly, all guests must take shelter immediately.
My favorite quality about Pops is that he's incredibly honest. At least you always know where you stand with Pops. So I like that. He'll give it to you straight down both barrels.
And here's the man who made it happen, that towering colossus of moxie.
As you can hear the chants from the crowd. As you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
New information now also on the plane crash. KTVU has just learned the names of the 4 pilots who were on board the flight. They are Captain Sum Ting Wong, Wee Tu Lo, Ho Lee Fook, and Bang Ding Ao. The NTSB has confirmed these are the names of the pilots on board Flight 214 when it crashed. We are working to determine exactly what roles each of them played during the landing on Saturday.
We're in the tough stretch, and it could last for a while.
Am I crazy?
Private sector companies with over 100 employees must require vaccinations or weekly testing. That accounts for 80 million workers. Businesses that don't comply will face fines. Vaccinations will also be required for the more than 17 million people who work at hospitals that receive Medicare or Medicaid funding.
This is not about freedom. This is not about freedom. This is not about freedom.
Do anything at all.
Time to fly.
Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated.
Requirement for people at a business with more than 100 people. It is not a requirement for migrants at the southern border. Why?
That's correct.
Even though the vaccine is safe, effective, and free.
Do anything at all.
Time to fly.
Requirement for people at a business with more than 100 people. It is not a requirement for migrants at the southern border. Why?
That's correct.
This is not about freedom. This is not about freedom. This is not about freedom. This is not about freedom.
There it is. Let's do this. News talk, Wednesday night. Let's do it. So, folks, we will have another great night. The boys will be in here with me. Robert Herriman, Outbreak News Today, editor-in-chief, co-founder of the Global Dispatch, Tampa Dispatch, and an all-around wonderful guy. Alex Snitker, the co-host of Unattended Baggage, will be with us as always with his incredible humor and expertise. And before we get into too much, I want to run down a few things we may not be able to get to tonight. Tease for you again. Remind, there's a link there for you if you want to pop on over. We've kind of been dabbling with, the old Redbubble merchandise thing. You can see, as Alex so perfectly coined the name and nickname for Lindsey Graham. You can get your merch there. And if you check out the store, there's also stuff for Pops, What's Your Story, and a couple other new things that we've been adding little by little. So feel free to check those out if you get a chance. Also, all the links there for the YouTube channels, different things, social media-wise, so you can kind of keep up to date with everything going on. I wanted to jump in and cover a couple of quick little things real quick. Maybe not a full segment, but at least something. Another school disturbing story. This popped up. I saw this over on Twitter. This is the libs of TikTok. This is a principal. This is mayor of Hazard, Kentucky. The principal held an assembly with a male pageant. Students came dressed in lingerie and gave lap dances to the staff. This is high school. This is high school, folks. There you go. Everybody's just laughing. Just these underage kids dressed in lingerie. Lap dances with the adult teachers there. Oh yeah, yuck it up, yuck it up, yuck it up. He's been investigated. I don't know that we had any answers here on anything. This was also tweeted out. I confirmed this. There was 2 other instances about in 2008 involving being with minors, alcohol and smoking in the car. So I don't know obviously nothing stopped him from keeping his job, but I think this may be the kind of thing where, you know, look, folks, ask yourself, what is happening in your school? What is happening in your school? If you don't think this stuff can come to your school, you're fooling yourself, right? This is crazy. Lap dances in your high school with males dressed in lingerie, this kind of stuff. By the way, this is a great little page to, you know, see what the other side and how they behave and whatever. Let me get to one I wanted to show you real quick. Let's get to her. Oh, she's down here a little bit further. Basically just little clips and videos, different things that they put up all day long. This one was nuts. So basically this lady is confronted. Anyway, well, let's just let it play for itself.
You need a severe loss. You need a severe lifestyle. You need to get the out of my face and leave me alone because you are all nothing but the lowest form.
Can you believe this lady? This lady comes unglued on this Karen on a subway train. It's completely nuts. And do you blame her? This little lady doesn't have a mask on. I mean, I'm sure based on what little I checked, I think she's in a state where she probably is vaccinated. But just the gall that we're just going to randomly go up to strangers and just start confronting them like this. This lady completely is unhinged. What's your...
of military that ever existed you need to get out of...
So I think what she's trying to say is you've never suffered any loss. You've never had any hard times. We've gone through war. We've gone through difficult times. I think that's kind of where she's trying to come from, but she is completely unhinged. And folks, and I've said, this is what's coming. This is what's going to come. If you keep poking and poking and poking, you're going to find individuals that are going to get unhinged. And the concern, of course, is that this can lead to violence, right? Anyway, let's put another video. There's another video up here. This is just a plethora of just crazy stuff on here. Yeah, this is the Kentucky story. And then there's this. Okay, so this is a person going up to another person. Here we go. Oh, we don't have sound. Get your sound on. All the way up. Start over.
Where's your mask? Huh? Where's your mask? Where is your mask?
Why is she called Karen in this video? Isn't that weird?
Really?
The subtitles. So the subtitles has this lady as the Karen. I thought by definition, the person confronting the unmasked person would be the Karen, not this lady. See, I love this, that even the people on the left don't understand their own, like their own words and creations. Like they're not even going to follow their own.
Where's your mask? Huh? Where's your mask?
She just ignores her.
Where is your mask?
Turns her completely out, man. Nope.
Really?
Not, yeah, really. That's it. Just tunes her out. Just says no. So this is this TikTok page. Let me see what this one is. This one was, that's the Virginia stuff. So yeah, you can go over there. You can check some of that craziness out. This is a story. I got a feeling will have some legs and will be talked about for the next day or so, because it's what is wrong with people? Why on earth are we going to continue to cover up these perverted and gross and disgusting teachers, principals, school board members? I don't understand. I just don't understand. Is it just because for so long, so many people have ignored what schools are doing that there isn't anyone paying close enough attention consistently about what's happening in your schools? I mean, you literally have a school event putting men or boys in lingerie, giving lap dances to the adults. This is what's happening here. Look at this. He's putting his hands on this guy. Look at that. Like, no. We need authorities to be involved. Like, we're not, what are we doing? This is a minor. We're not doing this. This is crazy. This is in, again, Hazard, Kentucky. Look at this, the hand on the back of the head. This kind of stuff. This is just, I don't know. I hope you parents are paying attention. I hope you are using each one of these examples as a chance to evaluate what's happening in your school district and things that could possibly be going on where you are. The news this week is a lot of the same. We're going to see some of the similar stories talking about schools, school boards, parenting. A real disturbing article that came out of the Washington Post. I want to touch on that. And of course, just tons of other stuff that's going on. The one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on very briefly was we did the whistleblower story a couple weeks ago, and it took a couple weeks to finally get that through copyright. So if you were to go over, that actually did very well for us yesterday. More news comes out about Facebook. So if you heard our take on the Facebook whistleblower, a whole lot of nothing happening. Now they're referring to the Facebook papers, which is, again, a whole lot of nothing. It's like they're allowing misinformation. They didn't take election and the Capitol riot stuff seriously, blah, blah, blah. Let's control and censor Facebook. That's the gist of what they're going for. And this, quote, whistleblower is nothing more than a crazy progressive Bernie bro type person who believes that, you know, she said this in front of Congress, right? She should be in charge, a job for someone like me, that they feel that they should be able to censor Facebook, control what you and I see. This just continues to be a story that has legs. It's not a big one that we're going to cover again tonight and beat on that more, but don't expect this to go away, folks. You have this incredible movement for them to get control of other outlets that have information that they don't want you to have, right? So if you're on Facebook, you can, well, it was easier to share links and share stories, but now you can't. Things are flagged all the time. Things are censored all the time. It's already that difficult. Imagine how much more difficult they want it to be, right? So when you have these stories that have come out that said, well, employees of Facebook were flagging Breitbart, saying, oh, well, Breitbart shouldn't be in news. But then when they go through their fact-checking process, their evaluative process, they go, well, there's nothing dishonest about the story itself. It's like, just because you don't like Breitbart doesn't mean that they can't report on this happening. And it was because they were reporting on the protests that had turned into riots. There was violence. There were fires being set. Breitbart was covering all of that last year. And the employees at Facebook, these internal battles were going on. And Facebook, to their credit, didn't do anything. And if anything, these Facebook papers are showing that Facebook has at least had this back and forth over some of these outlets and sources. And again, Daily Wire talked about it this week. I'm sure the people there at Breitbart could talk about it. I know we've experienced it over the years. Facebook has definitely throttled you back. And what that means is, let's say 5 years ago, you'd post a story and it would be seen by, let's say, 1,000 people on your Facebook page or wall or whatever. By today, that's already probably cut in half. Maybe not half for other people. You have to pay, try to promote it. But the return on your investment is decreased by a minimum of 20-25%. It's just, there's already sort of a filtering. I know people have talked about terms like shadow banning and things like that, which is easier to kind of trace and see in other ways. You see that on Twitter, for instance, where certain people just won't see it. It just is suppressed. It's just there. So the frustrating part with all of this is how many times have they censored a story or pulled a story and then it turns out to be true, right? And then in this last year and a half or so, this has been the case over and over and over again. We saw it right before the election. The Hunter Biden laptop, it was all phony. No one should see it. It was a major outlet that was censored, and come to find out it was valid, it was true. There was no hacking. There was none, all this other nonsense. We've seen this time and time again with the pandemic and the data, and it was where the origins of the virus started. It was like mocking the president at the time. Ridiculous statements that he was saying. I'm not trying to defend it. What I'm trying to say is we weren't allowed to evaluate information for ourselves. They were censoring things, and now it's come out that it could be true. We know that the origins are there. Motivations and reasons is a completely different argument, something that should be up for debate and discussion. But when they preemptively censor and remove it, we were never allowed to have those conversations. So a couple of examples. The Facebook papers, in my opinion, don't really give us a lot of insight into things that should be censored, which is what they're going for. And I think that when you think about the left, if you have an individual that's evaluating all that and they want to censor Facebook and they want to shut all that down, you know, my big thing is where do you want people that don't agree with you go? That's kind of what I was saying about Parler. When they removed Parler and this whole big conspiracy where, you know, the Apple and the Amazon kind of conspired and just eliminate Parler and just basically shut it down. Kind of how President Trump was removed. My question is this: when you have half the country, just ballpark the number at half, where do you want them to go? Like, what is the appropriate outlet for them to get information if they don't want to go to your site? Like, what site can they go to? And reality is this: we're back to the fundamental problem. The Texas versus California is the battle of the culture war because California can't let Texas be, right? The right and the left. The right doesn't really care. We feel on the right, and I would say I'm libertarian right. You got your outlets and you got your news, right? Where can I go to create news or run a website or do whatever, or get my news and I'll be left alone? Like, you're not going to try to keep attacking it. And I don't think you can. I think that they look at every opportunity to say, oh no, this is misinformation, this is not valid, cancel this person, remove this content, those kinds of things. That is pretty much how all of that goes. And I'd be shocked if the Facebook story kind of goes away. We'll see more of it. That's what I think. So anyway, so this is a pre-show. Comments are always welcome. Feel free to post anything there if you like. We'll try to get to it and work it in as we go. The boys will be on here soon. We'll be kicking things off officially at 6 o'clock. Some fun stories, disturbing stories, a little bit of that. But trying to give you the news, boil it down for you so you know what's actually going on. Give you some tools and tips on how to analyze some of it, because I think that's kind of been a trick too for me. It's like a lot of folks still, I don't think, understand. Like, they don't see it the way we see it, like as far as little tips on how biased the source or the information might actually be. That's one of the tricks for me. I know when I read Bernie Goldberg's book, which was called Bias, it changed everything for me, because then I was able to see information differently, right? In the book, he worked for, I believe it was CBS for years. He talked about the newsrooms and how polarized they were. They were so pro-Democrat. He said like 80%. Some of the studies I've seen have had higher numbers than even 80% of reporters are Democrats. They talk about there'd be cheers and celebration after different elections. And what Bernie Goldberg's work did was it broke down the word usage, the nouns and verbs, things like that, and you can start to see news stories differently. So, for instance, we're going to talk about a Washington Post story, and right off the bat, I'll share the picture with you. You can just see that. We're going to get to this in a minute when the guys get here, and we start off at 6. It'll be the first story I want to kind of present, because I want you to see. So this story is about curriculum in the headline, but their photo they chose are folks that are campaigning against mandates for vaccines and that kind of stuff. They're actually pro-tickets. So this is more like the misleading image attacked to content that does not match. So if you see the photo, does it garner an emotional response, a negative response, or do you associate that with what the contents of the story are? Because basically the parents are going to be presented in a negative light. That's kind of the goal of the image, is to kind of do that. Likewise, we'll get to this when we cover the story, that they make quotes. You'll see anonymous sources in stories. You'll see their job descriptions or incomplete representations of who their sources are. That's a huge cue on the validity of the story. I think that they also think that it's very difficult If there are hyperlinks, sometimes you can go to your original story. Not everybody does hyperlinks. The bigger the websites, the bigger the news outlets, the less likely they appear to be keeping up with like link backs. So you can actually go to the source. So for instance, if you go to CNN, they could have stolen the story basically from another outlet, and they don't always give, they may even give credit and say, you know, as reported by blah, 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 Daily Mail, but it won't have a link. So you've got to get out into a new window. You've got to search the same story in Daily Mail. You can actually get to the source report, because once it goes through the filters, it's like playing a game of telephone, right? It's playing a game of telephone. Words get changed, adjectives get changed, spin the headline. It's how do we clickbait it? How do we get revenue? How do we get money? How do we get clicks? How do we get eyes? How do we get retention on our site? That kind of thing. And a lot of that's through emotional responses. So as always, we go through the show tonight as at any night. Again, about 10 minutes away. We'll have the guys on here. We'll go through it, but your comments are always welcome. I apologize if we don't get to one right away. We had a ton of comments this week over on YouTube on that Facebook whistleblower. The comments are not ones to necessarily respond to. There's a lot of kind words, and obviously we appreciate that very, very much, as always. But, you know, we are interested. We will try to respond to your comments best I can. I don't always get everyone. I'm having a hard time understanding that sometimes we'll get an email alert that we have a comment attached on a video and you know, a video or content, but then when you go to there, you don't actually see it. So I do apologize if you have made a comment and we didn't see it or didn't respond. So I apologize, because there are times where I'm not seeing that on our end, and I'm not totally sure I understand why, because it should be there. So I was trying to pull these up right now and give you an example of some of the ones that are there. Not much in the way of, like, you know, a back and forth opportunity. Just a lot of praise, you know, like so many videos. This video is a true inspiration. Like this person just basically was just trying to praise that they appreciated Alex and I breaking down that video that was on 60 Minutes, her interview. And then have you thought about making, you know, more content like this on YouTube? It's like, well, obviously you should be watching, so feel free to check in that. And then just lots of praise, and really appreciated that. Compliments to the effort, those kinds of things. You know, I'm all ears when I watch your videos. That's great. Appreciate that very much. Some comments are made about the Anthony Fauci propaganda video, the documentary that's come out over on Disney Plus. I've not watched the actual documentary. We did have a reaction video that I did of the trailer, and this person, Gail, she complimented the Blaze that they really blasted the Fauci information, and then putting that out there for other people to see and that kind of thing. People referring to him as evil, which I'm not going to get into all that. And then, of course, the Scott Horton and Bill Kristol video. That was the first one. We'll put the clip up there, the second clip up there with Alex. Alex gave his evaluation thoughts on that last week, so we got to get that clip out there. So that will go there live too. But this person commented how much they've become a fan of Scott Horton, and that he is just, to me, he's top notch. So there's a little bit of back and forth there. And the person, of course, made you know, an LGB Let's Go Brandon reference, which made me laugh. So, of course, makes me laugh. And then, of course, that takes us back, catches us up on some of the comments. So if you want to make comments directly on the YouTube videos, that is always welcome. If you want to make comments on Facebook, I try to catch those as well. So I apologize if we missed that. So we're literally minutes away from the guys joining us. And if you were ever to have a comment or email us, you can put stuff at the bottom of this video if you had a topic you wanted us to cover and that kind of thing. So feel free to do that. I was asked on a private message about the Mayor Pete video. I have not actually watched this documentary because I don't believe it comes out until November. So I was going to check that for that individual and answer that about that, watching that. I don't think it comes out right away. Yes, so it was a film festival earlier this month, and it officially arrives on Amazon on November the 12th. So I still got a couple weeks before I have to possibly endure more Mayor. I don't know that I can watch that one. Now, the Fauci one, I will probably struggle myself through, only because I don't know as much about Fauci as I do Mayor Pete. I spent some time vetting Mayor Pete during the campaign, so I'm a lot more familiar with his resume, or lack thereof, compared to Fauci. Obviously, Fauci was part of the scientific community during the AIDS epidemic and created a lot of misinformation and stuff like that. And I was just really turned off by the propaganda approach to the trailer and basically them exploiting the situation with the kids or whatever. So I got an angry face out there. I don't know who that is. I'm trying to see it. I'm not seeing where the angry face came from. I don't know. Did it make you angry? Did the story make you angry? Did I make you angry? I don't know. I apologize if I made you angry, I guess, but I don't know what I tell you. I just do what I do. So anyway, I see an old face that was out there. Hopefully, if you're with me or not, Dan, say, give me a wave or something like that. Dan Steiner, always a big fan of Dan and conversations that we used to have on a regular basis. And miss you, buddy. We should talk pop culture with you sometime. We should probably, maybe we can figure out how to connect sometime and talk movies. We could do a pop stream or something. We could talk movies and pop culture. That was always the thing we used to talk a lot about. So, all right, we're getting very close to 6 o'clock. The boys will be in here. And let me start first with the worm and germ guy himself, the editor-in-chief over at Outbreak News Today, Robert Herriman. How are you doing, Bob?
How you doing, brother? You doing all right?
It's been busy. So here we are, another week. More news, more crazy, that kind of stuff. So I share with everybody the latest over at our merch store. Showed some folks the interesting things. I don't know, did we do that with you, Bob? Did you get a chance to go check out some of the ridiculousness that is Lindsey Graham?
Oh, and the
Thunder Pussy merch.
Yeah. I've been there.
All right, see, you scope it out. You never know. It might be something that you'd be interested in having. So, but yeah, I had a couple more things in there. Still working that out. Not quite sure I know exactly what I'm doing. Do the best I can, but it is still a little tricky getting the pictures and some of that kind of stuff quite right. But put a little pop stuff up there. What's your stories in there? Try to get a couple new ones in there. We'll see. So, how's things over in Outbreak? What's going on in the world of Outbreak news this week before Alex gets in here, and we'll get to other topics. But give us a general overview of how the week's gone for you.
On the website, it's constantly keeping me rocking. Of course, maybe the audience doesn't know, but the Democratic Republic of the Congo is now in their 13th Ebola outbreak since 1976.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, this country, these people cannot catch a break, and at the same time they battle outbreaks of measles, COVID, of course, plague, typhoid. I mean, the list goes on and on. Monkeypox. So, I mean, this country just gets slammed with infectious diseases like nothing I've ever seen. So, yeah, they're dealing with a new Ebola outbreak. 6 people have been confirmed, and 3 of them are dead. And that's probably the top story. Just a lot of, we've got some human bird flu cases over in China. Ukraine has reported a polio case. So having a polio case in Eastern Europe is kind of concerning. Just some COVID stuff. I did some news out of Venezuela today. There's always some interesting stuff. There's a lot of NGOs that are down in Venezuela, and they're doing a lot of stuff, research and stuff behind the scenes. And when they get their stuff published, it's always pretty interesting. You get a lot more from the NGOs than you do from the health ministry.
All right, folks. Well, you go over to Outbreak News Today. We have links there in the description for you. You can go check out all of Bob's work, the great coverage of all these different things. And now, rounding out the team for tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, co-host of Unattended Baggage, Alex Snitker. How are you, my friend?
Doing all right. How you guys doing?
It's been another crazy week. You know that, right? It's always something. So Did a little pre-show tonight with more crazy in the school board universe, and wanted to start tonight off with an article that I saw, and I didn't write about it yet because it made my head hurt. But thought I'd run some of this by you guys and see the insanity that is our school situation, because I think it's really the crux of what we can at least try to control. And this is an article from the Washington Post that parents claim they have the right to shape their kids' school curriculum, and they don't. They don't. So just in case you didn't know that, guys, they don't think you should even have a chance to even have input on school curriculum. So this is an article in Washington Post, and first thing I wanted to make sure you note is that they use a photo of people who are objecting to the vaccine mandates. Has nothing to do with school curriculum, by the way. It's not like they're trying to be objective or anything. So in their search for issues that will deliver Congress in 2022. So again, it's as though we're gonna blame Republicans, right? So as conservatives have begun to circle around the cause of, quote, parents' rights. In Indiana, Republican Attorney General Todd Rokita recently introduced a Parents' Bill of Rights, which asserts education policy and curriculum should accurately reflect the values of Indiana families. I can't find anything wrong with that statement, but the author of this does. Florida, an even more comprehensive bill, assures that the state and its public schools cannot infringe on, quote, fundamental rights of parents. And then in Virginia, Republican Glenn Youngkin has made parents' rights a centerpiece of the campaign for governor, saying, quote, parents matter, and declaring, I believe parents should be in charge of their kids' education. So this is the big divide. It talks about a common law case. And then he has a quote from Jeff Schulman, quote, this effort may divide child from parent, not because socialist educators want to indoctrinate children, but because learning to think for oneself is what children do. What do the interests of parents and when do interests of parents and children diverge? Generally, it occurs when a parent's desire to inculcate a particular worldview denies the child exposure to other ideas and values that an independent young person might wish to embrace or at least entertain. And then it goes on and says that this would risk inhibiting the ability of young people to think independently. Bob, I'm going to go to you first because I'm going to pause for a minute. Can you think of a topic that schools fight to make sure that we don't discuss at all and give a chance for children to remotely ever entertain?
In the public schools?
Yes. You think of
Sure.
any? Just Bob, can you name one?
You can't discuss the Bible.
Or anything that is in the Bible, basically? Like there's nothing, like you're not allowed to have any?
I mean, you can't even look at the Bible as history.
Correct.
Even if you don't want to do the Christianity portion, you can't even do it as history. So that's that's pretty messed up. And you got to remember though, that's the book that most of the founders read. They may not have been Christians. A lot of them were deists, but the Bible was a mainstay in their library. A lot of them learned how to reading the Bible. Right. So, yeah.
Alex, when you see an article and hear some of the words that I read there for you, what was your initial response? Or I don't know if you're familiar with the story yet or not, but what are your thoughts in response to that?
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely great. I was very happy that they put this out. And the reason why is simple. Until we completely demolish the public education system as we know it right now, this is always going to be a problem. They just said the quiet part out loud, and I'm happy that they did. So let's have a debate as to why you should pull your kid out of public school completely. In a weird way, I'm kind of against the going to the school board meetings and complaining. I would much rather people just say, screw it, take their kids out and move on. And just stay away from these government indoctrination centers. It's always going to be a fight. And eventually, like, the power of the state will mean that we're always going to be battling this until we realize that you have to eliminate it in order to win the battle overall. But also, look, if parents want their kids to be taught critical race theory, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If you can choose to go to a school that does that, if that's your thing, you can teach them, lesbian dance theory. You name the subject, you can teach them whatever you want to teach them. Just you don't get to choose for everybody else how you want those kids to be educated. And I'm glad that they're doing this now. I used to be a person that wasn't really opposed to public schools, and now we need to get rid of them.
Yeah. So I think that the problem with the argument is that at the school board level, they're going to be controlling pretty much the schools in that district, right? They're going to cover. So if this were like the Hillsborough County School Board, it's not like I have options to say the inner city school wants to do this, but I'm in a more rural area at the edge of the county. So it becomes very difficult to try to come up with a curriculum other than homeschooling, which is something that sadly many parents can't or won't do. I want to go further into the story.
It's getting easier, though.
It is definitely getting easier. So let me tell you how the article progresses as they quote, and I wanted to see your guys' reaction, because they quote political scientist Rob Reich, and he argues the minimal autonomy requires, especially for the civic importance, that a child be able to examine his or her own political values and beliefs and those of others with a critical eye. And then he goes on, he says, if we value that end, the structure of schooling cannot simply replicate in every particularly the values and beliefs of a child's home. First off, you guys know who Robert Reich is, right? Robert Reich?
Yeah, the former labor secretary.
Yeah, he's a Clinton labor secretary. He was part of Obama's transition team. This is hardly a ambiguously described political scientist chiming in and being their reference in this article.
No, massive socialist leanings.
Yeah, and then it's like again, the child is going to be able to be given his or her own opportunities to explore political values and beliefs. When is the school system remotely presenting kids with anything other than the far left perspective on all of these? The entire premise that we're having outrage is that that is not the case. The article just keeps digging in. Talk about Alex, you were saying there, the quiet part out loud. This is a few paragraphs down. Courts have found that parents have great authority when it comes to deciding how to raise and educate their children. This right, however, does not mean that public schools must cater to parents' individual ideas about education. Parents can opt out of public system if they wish and pay to send their children to religious schools, but their parental rights remain subject to the state regulation and override. And then it goes, it's like in framing our public schools as extremist organizations. I don't know that anyone's saying it quite like that, but that's how this person is doing it. But he says, parents may end up with a new set of rights only to discover they've lost something even more fundamental in the process. Turned against their schools and their democracy, they may wake up from their conspiratorial fantasies to find a pile of rubble and heap of ashes. Wow, Washington Post. Alex called you out. You said the quiet part out loud for sure.
Let's just hope it turns into a heap of ashes. There's for hoping for that.
It is so much of stuff that I kind of, I already had my kids out of the public school for different reasons, but I remember being I think we were even at a libertarian event where you were at one, Alex, and the person that was speaking referred to how when they're in the public school, they view them as their property. They usurp your ability as a parent to decide basically everything. Like you are not allowed to say, as far as they are concerned, oh, your teacher's not right about that. That's not actually what happened. This is what happened. And there was many, many, many cases when my children went through school where I was like, especially with things like history. History has definitely like completely been rewritten for these kids and what little history they get. So, oh yeah, that was how That was an article, Washington Post. I'll have the links there. You do not have a right to shape your kid's curriculum. You don't get a vote. They don't want you to have a vote. That was the to me, Bob, it's the backbone of this culture war, is this battle over education. And I know I understand exactly what Alex is trying to say, and all I can do is hope and pray that we can get more people to just go, you know what, I'm out, or radically reshape the whole districts, with school choice options, money follows kids, something. There has to be better options.
Well, if you keep your eye on Virginia right now, this is the exact topic. Why Youngkin's even a name in this race coming up. His opponent is longtime politician / Democratic strategist Terry McAuliffe, and he said multiple times that parents don't have the right to, dictate what schools should be teaching and the like. So it's gotten so bad that I can't remember if it's Loudoun County or Fairfax County. One of those school districts have lost something like 10% of their students from, last year or 2 years ago, either to homeschooling, private school, or others just left the state looking for a place that's more accommodating for their children's education. So the people are speaking. Is it enough? I don't know.
Music to our ears. Alex, I kind of jumped right through stuff with the pre-show. We jumped into this story and that kind of thing. You got a story that you're thinking about I want to throw out there before we go down our list of some other things?
All right. So I don't know if you guys saw this story, but there was a woman or a person, I forget exactly the name, but that she was out in the woods, lost. And just to give you an idea of how much people won't answer a phone call from a number that they don't know. This woman was lost in the woods. They were looking for her, and she wouldn't answer the phone to be found because she basically ignored the calls because she didn't recognize the number. It's just one of the weirdest things. A hiker who was lost in a mountain for about 24 hours ignored calls from rescue crews because she didn't recognize the phone number, officials said. What is the... I don't understand personally how people are so afraid to answer a call from a number that they don't know, that even if you're lost, you're not going to do it. I don't know what that says about society, but it can't be that good.
Well, and if you have a signal, why would you not be reaching out for help? Why would you not be trying to call other numbers? If she had a signal and a call came through, why is she not reaching out to authorities, maybe 911? I mean, even if your phone's not working, 911 almost always works. We've had that issue here in Florida during hurricanes and stuff. So I don't know what it says about culturally. We're in a place now where everyone's being sifted through for some of the most crazy and dysfunctional behavior and stories. And in the era we thought we had weird news locked in, Bob, a decade ago, it would be a whole website to keep up with the weird that goes on daily, including someone who so ignorantly ignores incoming calls from unknown numbers so they can just continue to be lost in the wilderness. Yeah. That's insane. I didn't find the story quickly, but I didn't do a thorough look here. I just kind of did a quick one. It didn't pop right up for me, but I don't know, Alex. I'm answering the phone. I mean, actually, we moved to the woods, and one of the first things we've done is we had to change cell service because we couldn't get service. So we had to switch to the one where there was a tower nearby. There's a tower within 2 miles. So we all had to switch all of our phones over so we would actually have cell service because we're really off the beaten path that much. So I can't imagine what's the point of having the phone if you're not even going to use it. Anyway, whatever. I hadn't heard that at all. Bob?
Well, the thing about the story was the person was, what's the word for it? They were late according to their itinerary, but I guess that they weren't to the point where they were panicking yet.
Oh,
but the person was calling them, the rescue people were calling because at that point, if you're off of your itinerary, then something could be wrong and you should answer your call at that point. But they didn't, and it is what it is, I guess. But it was just a weird. I think I found it more for the fact of like, how much will you not answer your call or answer the phone? Like I don't know why you wouldn't just answer it. So, but at any rate, maybe I'm just different. But
well, we have a comment here. It came in. We have an LGB. Let's go, Brandon. And then the shift in the stories. I didn't really prepare to get into all this. Is arrest Alec Baldwin. I'm going to say this, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of that story because it's a very, very complicated story to go into all of that. All I'm going to say in that story is this armor, this little girl, and I say little girl as condescending as I can because she's basically going to be the one that's going to be held responsible for there being a live round in this revolver. She not only is inexperienced, she has a track record on the record in different interviews being very flippant about her job and responsibilities. And I'm not about to let Alec Baldwin off the hook because anytime you handle a firearm, even if it is supposed to have blanks in it, you're the one that's responsible for having that gun. But when this story broke, I looked to the first lady and I told her, I says, "Oh, here's what happened. It's a scene where they're shooting right at the camera for the effect of like you're looking down the barrel of the revolver in a death scene because it's a Western, and obviously that's what happened. So, yeah, it's awful. It's an awful story. So, yeah, but stay tuned." L Wits, it may happen, and LGB back at you. So, that's our comments so far. Bob, I'm going to throw it to you. Let you you throw out a story or a thought where we want to go next.
Oh, okay. The past couple weeks, I've been lighting it up with some disturbing stories.
Yes, you have. Thank you very much. For that.
And I think today's a disturbing story. For a little bit of a different reason. And let me see if I can bring it up real quick. And it's actually local too, which makes it that much more interesting.
All right.
Okay. I don't know if you guys saw this. Is it up? It's up. All right.
U.S. Marshals draw gun.
The scene. We're in Bradenton, Florida. A young mother with her 3-month-old is taking a nap. She hears knocking on the door. It's the U.S. Marshals with guns a-blazing. They're looking for somebody. She goes, "Well, he's not here. He's not here. We want to come in." She's got all this on her ring, so it's recorded. And they come in. They didn't ransack the house, but they went through the house. Oh, and then they said, "Oh, wrong address," and left. And they just took off. No apologies. No nothing. Scared the daylights out of this young lady and her young baby. She called the U.S. Marshal Service to say, "Hey, what's going on? Why'd y'all do this?" And this is what they told her on the phone. This is what really ticked me off to no end. Let's see. The young mother said she called the U.S. Marshal Service about the mistake and was told that they could provide a mental health counselor. Adding, a man on the phone told her to take melatonin and get over it. So, there you go.
Take melatonin.
Like to put you to sleep or whatever. So this is why we do have issues with law enforcement, right? They go to in the right place, the right apartment, or the right place was in the same apartment. The things are, all right, yes, you made a mistake. Do you just pour out of the house without even say, "Sorry, ma'am, we made a mistake, wrong place," and then to be that rude to her on the phone, like she was some kind of a whack job? Yeah, that's the tick off story of the day for me.
Yeah, rightfully so. This is crazy. Alex, these stories keep happening, and reality is, that there was, a political move to basically keep, the current status in place, like Rand Paul put forth, the no-knock warrant thing, and that got shot down. And we hear all these talks, but then nothing ever gets done. We hear stories like this, and it's like, this is just crazy authoritarian nonsense. The kind of stuff that's right up your ballywick all the time. Of like, you're always screaming, this is exactly what we're going to see more of.
Yeah, this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning, and it's going to keep happening as long as we keep increasing the laws, and as long as government also continually thinks that people are questioning their authority, that they have to do things in order to beat those people down, to not question anything that they're doing. And this is only going to continue until you get rid of these laws. This is the one area in which, while I wouldn't necessarily blame like systemic racism, I will say that this happens on a socioeconomic level much more to poor people, and the cops don't have to apologize because those people don't have the resources to be able to take those cops to task, to fight the system. They don't have the ability to do that, and they're a lot more easily intimidated than people that have resources. Like, they're not doing that, and they're not going to do that in a middle class or an upper class neighborhood per se, and just do it. They're going to do it to people that are poor, and they don't care, and they're going to continue to do it. And it's sad, that we have police officers and U.S. Marshals that don't really understand what their job is and what their job should be, which is to protect the liberties of the people. They treat everyone as if they're the bad guy. Like they treat everybody badly, and they think that they're somehow justified to be able to do it. And it's what also infuriates me about Republicans now, that are the ones that are trying to save qualified immunity. Like, they're trying to keep it. They think that it's a good thing. I think that police officers should be always afraid of being sued for doing the wrong thing. I think that the incentive structure is completely backwards right now. The cops need to not be worried about their lives. They need to be worried that they're going to get sued if they do the wrong thing. And until they have that fear that they're not protected by the law, that the law will be used against them just like they're used against us citizens, then we're going to continue to be in this situation. It's funny. I do want to mention a story that goes along with this. So I was up in Tallahassee a bunch of years back, and I was lobbying, and I was down in the smoking area, and the person that was there was a lobbyist for for some cop organization. I don't remember which one it was, but they were the police, some police organization that she was up there lobbying for them, and she was with a couple officers. They weren't in uniform. They were just in civilian clothes. And they asked me what I do up there, and I explained what I did up there. And they looked at me and they go, "Well, you must hate cops." And I said, "You know what?" And this is what I said at the time. I go, "You know what? I absolutely love cops." I said, "I love cops so much that I want to come up here to Tallahassee to eliminate all the stupid laws that government stops you or makes you enforce, and to only have things that have victims with it, so that way you guys could look like the heroes all the time." And I will say that, and again, this is just anecdotal evidence, but those two cops went from like this to really kind of like, "Oh, tell me more." Like, they were interested because of what I said and how I said it. Is that I would rather them be there to protect the liberties of the individual than to enforce all of these stupid laws that they make them enforce. That way, these instances like this would go down tremendously, because mistakes are still going to happen. There's no getting around that. Like the raid going to the wrong house, that will happen again. But if you get rid of all the stupid laws and let law enforcement focus on the victim crime laws, then I think we'd be in a much better position. And I think cops would be a lot more loved.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Great comments too here. She's a hired attorney, obviously. And then she says, or they say, the key point is that police hate being questioned on any level. And I couldn't agree more. Like, exactly what you're saying, Alex. It's like, they come in, the burden of proof is already gone. They've been sent to do a raid. The fact that there could be a mistake or that they would do the confirmation to say they're in the right place just did not happen. I don't even understand how that's possible, but it seems like there'd be easy ways to prevent these things happening at the last minute. So, Bob, did it say what are they going in for the raid for? What was the alleged crime they're doing this for again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I already put it up, but
okay, that's fine.
But they did catch the guy. I don't remember what his crime was.
Right.
But just another perspective to me.
I'm not even saying that really matters or it's like a big thing. It's
yeah,
just I'm trying to get a perspective of how on edge the police were.
I want to say it was a murder, but don't quote me on that. It was a serious felony. But I look at it from this other perspective also is the arrogance, right? Just picture yourself, you at your job, Alex at his job, or me at my job, talking to a client and say, go take some melatonin, you'll get over it.
Yeah, I know.
I would be out the door. I'd be out the door in 5 minutes.
Yeah, every aspect of all of this is so out of control that one of the best things about the pandemic is that we just got to really see some of this for how it is. And if you pay attention to the news at all, folks, and you see Australia, it's still playing out. It's still playing out. The absurdity there is completely insane. Well, let me transition to something that, while may seem pop culture related, it's not a particularly positive story. And I really couldn't quite understand. And I kind of know now, but where on earth did this come from? Guys, did you know there is a lot of hate out there for Captain Kirk? These people are out to get Captain Kirk, man. They're mad that Shatner is going to space. These people are not happy at all with poor Bill. So 90-year-old William Shatner, he's on one of the flights, and Joan Collins is on this podcast. It says, it's amazing, isn't it? What a fool. Who wants to do that? No, absolutely not. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, he was in the air and they were turning him upside down. Let's take care of this planet first before we start going off. I'm like, oh, that's their angle. Like, we shouldn't let these people do this because you think, oh,
well,
I'm like, what?
Yeah. There's just a lot of people that are angry at Bezos and.
Oh, I'm getting to that. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
William Shatner's just getting caught in the crosshairs.
Well, here it goes. He says, it's ridiculous. This is Brian Cox. He said, I remember watching Sir Richard Branson and Bezos going up in there in 11 minutes or whatever. No, we don't need more spaceships. We got enough crap flying around up there. We do not need any more. Here was the thing for me. This is Prince William. We need some of the world's greatest brains and minds fixed on trying to repair this planet, not trying to find the next place to live and go. You're a moron. You're a moron. Do you not understand the amount of charity and money that these two guys do? I mean, first off, just on a superficial materialistic, the world is a better place because of the Amazon thing. Now, I'm not a big fan right now, kind of been bailing out on the whole Amazon thing, but listen, we can't argue that hasn't probably been a net positive for the planet as a whole. And Branson is known as a lefty. Environmental causes. I mean, just the amount of charity stuff this guy has done has been huge over time. So I just think it's crazy. And like you said, poor Shatner's caught in the middle. These comments are just really, really crazy. Listen to this. This is what Captain Kirk said, man. He says, he's talking about it being the most profound experience, referring to this, and he says, I hope I never recover from this. I hope I can maintain what I feel now. I don't want to lose it. It's so much larger than me in life. I don't know about you guys. That made me a bigger Shatner fan than I ever could have been. Ever. And I have to be honest, I can't say I've met him exactly, because when you go to these Comic-Cons, you run through like cattle. He was a nice and genuine guy. I got to be honest, all the original series people, except for Takai, were really, really nice and friendly. The next generation people, not so much. But Shatner was, and he loves this stuff. And the fact that we get to send Captain Kirk to space, I think it's a great story. I don't know. Alex, what do you think? You think I'm crazy and off base, or is it just, I think it's a cool story. We're sending Captain Kirk to space. I muted Alex when he was playing with his papers.
Oh,
there you go.
No, I think it's a great story. As a matter of fact, I'm glad that these guys, these billionaires, are using some of their money towards getting us off of this planet and exploring and getting humanity to other planets. Like, it's going to take a long time, but this is the first step that you're going to have to do. And for these people to get all mad about it, you're not following the science if you're thinking about it in the correct terms, because the science would tell you that eventually there will be a catastrophic event that will make global, man-made global warming look like a ping pong game, and that it will destroy the planet. If you want humanity to continue, then humanity has to be on multiple planets. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're a fatalist and you're not a serious person. And I think that you should shut your mouth.
All right. Bob, something Alex said that really kind of struck me, the follow the science part. Isn't there a meteor? I don't know if you've heard of it. Isn't there a meteor that they're trying to get to so they can mine some of the stuff, because it would revolutionize some of our tech stuff, cell phones, communication stuff? Have you guys heard that before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there's some sort of meteor that is supposedly composed of this rare metal or something. Anyway, I was just, I don't know. I thought this was a positive. I've seen these little stories and whatever about Shatner going to space, and I kind of had like a warm, wow, that's kind of cool. We're sending Captain Kirk to space. Then I see all this incredible hate, and I'm like, what on earth is all of this nonsense?
I guess my question would be, would they be saying the same thing to JFK, X amount of decades ago?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, definitely not. They would
no,
never
of course not.
to JFK.
And you know who Shatner's 90 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, that's enough, right? But his harshest critic was Mr. Sulu.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have the exact quotes on all of that, but
he's such a mean little man.
Oh, Takai is a terrible
He's
human.
hateful. He is hateful.
Takai is a terrible human being. So, I mean, okay, story time. So, I've never shared this on any of our streams or shows ever. So, I went to a show, and this was probably in Orlando, and I had Sierra with me. Sierra is my middle daughter, and she was really young at the time. And we were meeting. I had already had a pre-screen to talk to one of the actresses on Next Generation. And I take back what I said earlier, because she was actually super nice, right? So they have a table, and they're kind of lined up in a row. And you basically just, you see them and kind of keep moving. If you've paid for an autograph or whatever, that kind of thing. Well, I'm pressed. So everything is different for me. And I don't know exactly what they're willing to do. So I'm just trying to strike up conversation and be polite. Sierra's like right by my side. It's a little kid, she's like 9 or whatever. So we meet this lady, the actress, and I don't want to get it. It's the actress that played Deanna Troi, right? So she's super friendly, came around the table, and she hugged me, which was way too much for my personal space, but hey, whatever. And we go down the line. Michael Dorn, I say his name right. He plays Worf, right? Super nice guy. And Sierra saw like the picture of him. He was in the Tooth Fairy in those Santa Claus movies, right? So she recognized the picture because it was there on the table, and he was super nice. He was friendly to her, shook her hand. That was kind of sweet, that kind of nice things or whatever, right? So we move a little bit on, and we get to Jonathan Frakes, who plays number 2, right? He leaned back, crossed his arms, wouldn't shake our hands, didn't say anything, and basically did a just keep it moving kind of look on his face. I kid you not. These are not some of these people. I don't know what to say, man. Alex, you said it one time about South Park's coming to real life sometimes, and I feel like it was the episode where like they smell their own farts, because this guy was so full of himself. I didn't know what to say. Sierra was really like, she kind of did this whole thing like, what's happening, Dad? Like this the whole time. It was very, that's my Star Trek Next Generation meet and greet. Completely absurd, insane. Never had a problem seeing Shatner. Now, Shatner is more like a stadium thing. When you see Shatner, you have to pay probably big bucks to have like a physical one-on-one thing, because there's no way. And like you said, Bob, he's like 90 now, so even in his 80s, it would have been very difficult for them to do that. So that's my Star Trek story. that's about all you get because I'm not a Star Trek fan. So there you go.
How are you not going to hug Deanna Troy, man? I don't get that one though.
No, I don't mind. Okay, I have a personal space issue.
Like,
I mean,
let her get all up in your personal space.
Well,
man.
I
What
mean,
the
it's
hell's wrong
fine
with
too.
you?
I mean, because I don't know. I don't want to get into too much other detail, but yeah, let's just say she had on an attire that you could tell very similar to what Princess Leia struggled with in New Hope. In space, not everybody wears undergarments. And I was like, not a fan of like, oh, that's how we're going to approach this, huh? Oh, she's coming on in. Okay, I know you're fine. I'm not so much. I'm like, no. You can. That's not our relationship. We don't have that kind of relationship. But hey, okay.
At least you're consistent. At least you're consistent. I'll give you
Listen,
that. I mean,
I didn't do it when I met Cindy Morgan. And Cindy Morgan, to me, she's the hot girl in the original Tron movie. She played the super hot girl in Caddyshack. That's Cindy Morgan. And I didn't go in for the hug for that. So, I'm not doing it for anybody. Only the first lady. So, you guys know who Cindy Morgan is, or did I just make up some stuff? You guys are like, I have no idea what's happening.
no, I'm totally Googling it right now.
I bet you are.
Well, I know you interviewed her.
Oh, she's super sweet lady. This lady gave me so much of her time. Here you go. Let me share the screen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, super nice lady. Gave me so much of our time. I think we interviewed her more than once. I've interviewed her personally. I've interviewed her. She had her live radio show, Bob, right? Remember she called in and everything? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey Underhill, babe. Lacey Underhill. Yeah. This is what she looks like. Wait, let me get to open. That's what she looks like now. She's super pretty and super nice. Yeah, super nice lady. And again, when you interact with these shows and cons, as long as I've been doing it, you run into kind of like you have all these weird positive and negative experiences. Like it's never like.
But Brandon, I have a question.
Okay, here we go.
Why would
I opened a can of worms? I'm sure because everybody loves this kind of gossipy type stuff, and I know it's like a can of worms. Go ahead, Bob.
But why would somebody do one of these shows if they don't want to meet people?
I don't know. I guess they get paid.
I mean,
obviously some of them are making a lot of money.
Yeah. All right.
And what's weird is the fans, some of the fans, and even the press people don't like know how to talk to them. Like it's so weird to me. So I remember we were at a little tiny show, and I was with some folks from a website Bob knows very well, Craze Fanboy, and they were amazed. And I'm just like going up to these people and I'm asking questions. We're having this back and forth. I basically was running like a little mini panel in the middle of this Comic-Con because no one's talking to them. And I'm like, why do you guys act like they're just human beings? That's fine. So the weirdest. Okay, well, how was it? The weirdest story I probably had from like being a complete jerk was there was a guy. I'll Google him while I'm explaining the story. He does the voice of the cartoon Space Ghost. Right. So again, at a show, I'm press. George Lowe. This is George Lowe. And he has all these pictures and he has all this stuff out and whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. It's super cool, whatever. And then he kind of gestured towards the photos. This is what George Lowe looks like. And he said, yeah, that one, I can do that one for like $20. And I'm like, because it was like, you're paying for the picture and he's sign it, you can take a picture with him or whatever for like $20, which $20 is like a super cheap thing. But I was just there to work. I wasn't really there to be like, oh, let me hang out with George Lowe. So I'm like, okay, well, no, thank you. I'm good. And he just kind of had this whole like, oh, I see how it's going to be. I'm like, whoa, what happened here, buddy? Calm down. And he just kept going and going. And I'm just like trying to back away from the situation. I'm not trying to make a scene. This guy, he had a rough day, evidently, because he wasn't letting it go.
Dude, taking on Space Ghost, man.
I took on Space Ghost over a stupid $20 photo, which at this point I wish I had just paid for, and I'd have a Space Ghost autograph photo from George Lowe, but no, not so much. I know, my world. Alex is ready to chime in with another one. I can just see I can see the wheels turning through the screen. I know. Go ahead.
No. I think that it's got to be tough for those guys that at one point they were so famous that they were, they were getting paid so much money per episodes, and they were, red carpet and all that other kind of stuff. To go from that to the convention stuff where you're basically hawking a picture of yourself for like, 25, 30 bucks a piece. And some of them are probably more successful than others, but then the ones that aren't as successful are probably at this point, like, I came all this way to do this and I can't sell any of my stuff. Yeah. So like, it's a weird dynamic of going, because I never go to these things. I never go. It's a weird dynamic. I actually would like to go to these things, but at the same time, I actually don't think I'd stand in line for any of the people either, though. Like I don't know. I don't know. It's so few people that I would fanboy out for now.
You have to go with me so we wouldn't have to do all that part of it. Like, we just kind of do our own thing because you're press. Because you don't want to do it like you're an irregular fan. Because it is awful. It's awful. These people they sleep to get into the rooms because there's limited space now, and it's just not worth it. So, and you run into all different dynamics. Like, I remember there was a time where we went. Like, again, I think Sierra was with me. She loved doing this stuff, and she was a great little assistant. Bob even remembers her when she was that little. She could follow instructions. She'd carry notes. I mean, she was just like, bam, like this, money on the spot, man. And Kevin Sorbo, that started Hercules, had a table right next to Jill Gerard, who was Buck Rogers, right? And I go over and I chatted up Buck Rogers, Jill Gerard had a few minutes together. I think we had 10 minutes, and we were talking about it. They were trying to do a reboot of Buck Rogers or whatever. And that was fine. He was a nice enough guy. And I said, well, can we do a picture or whatever? And he said, well, no, I don't do them for free. I charge whatever, and then the money goes to charity. So I thought, oh, that's fine. So that was a fair thing. And he was not really off-putting. People really, really bash him in real life. And I understand, because he was exactly what you were saying, Alex. He's overweight. He was in poor health. He obviously, it's been a rough road since he was a famous actor from the 70s. It's been a rough road, right? And this is what you are. You're relegated to some little table in some Comic-Con trying to make a few bucks at a pop. It's got to be rough. Totally agree. Kevin Sorbo, on the other hand, was all about the fans. It was crazy. So I introduced myself. I started talking, and he stopped and just kind of stood up. Now, if you haven't met Kevin Sorbo, you know Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo played Hercules on a TV show. He's an enormous guy. He's like 6'4", probably 250, but not 250. Like probably maybe like 230. Like ripped, right? I mean, ripped. Still today, he's still cut. Like he's got more of a dad bod than he did then. Anyway, he stood over and he went to go and shake Sierra's hand. So imagine 6 foot, this enormous guy coming around this table to see my little tiny daughter right here. And her eyes just went woof, like this. Talk to her. She started saying stuff and like, it's nice to meet you. And he was like, well, have you seen this movie? I'm in this movie. You might like this one. You might like. Super nice. So you get everything. You get everything. I mean, I've seen, it's crazy. I've seen it all. So, it's one of those things where when my friends will visit, sometimes from out of state or whatever, they'll ask me like, well, who have you seen? What have you done? Whatever, because they always want to know some of the juicy gossip too. So, these kind of conversations are kind of normal for me. So,
I come to the point where I actually don't want to. If I really, really like somebody, I actually don't want to meet them because I don't want to ruin.
Twitter is Twitter is the worst thing in the world because Twitter has revealed some of my most favorite people are awful human beings in real life. Like, I would never meet Mark Hamill now because he's just a crazy person. Like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't agree more with you, Alex. Depending on your scale, same with athletes. Like, I tell people, be careful what you're asking for because some of them are not people you actually want to meet. So, yeah. So, Bob, let's throw the ball back into your court and get off this weird pop culture rant because this was definitely not scripted. And,
okay, well,
I mean, I guess unless you guys had another question or come back because
the
stories will keep going because there's outlines. I don't know. There's a script, not a script. Yeah, you're right. There's never been a script. There's at least notes. I have ideas for stories. Thank you very much. I mean, you pick a topic because there's so many. There's no way to get through them all.
I'm sorry. It was just funny.
It's fine.
I'd like to be on the meeting that had the script.
I know only you unattended baggage people have scripts. I know you have to script everything for Adrian, so he'll follow the script and he has to memorize everything, and that's how every single show comes across. You can tell him I said that.
Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
I'll wait for the
No, y'all good. Continue the banter.
Continue the banter. Bob, what you got, man? You got another serious story? I don't want to go crazy, weird, but whatever you like.
No, it's serious, and I like to get both your thoughts because
Okay, Bob.
I think at different times in history you had very different views on this topic.
All right.
All right. So yesterday was a big anniversary. It was the anniversary of the uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism. Ring a bell?
Yep.
It was the Patriot Act.
Patriot Act anniversary.
20-year anniversary.
20 anniversary, yeah.
Yep. So I know. So Alex, when you were, it's still around. I thought Obama might have tried to get rid of it, but he kept on re-signing it. It became the Freedom Act or whatever. Trump kept it going. Anyway, it still exists. All 52,000 pages of it. Alex, when you were running for Senate, was that part of your platform?
The elimination of the Patriot Act?
Yeah, I mean, or
not overt. Not overt. I mean,
Okay.
if asked, I would have said that, but it wasn't like a platform piece.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. And foreign policy was in there, but it was more bringing all the troops home, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I had anything specifically to get rid of the Patriot Act. I mean, I wanted to, but
Yeah,
you know,
I
especially
couldn't
by
remember.
that time.
Yeah, I just remember I got to meet Judge Napolitano 2010. I think it was 2010.
Yes.
And I got to speak to him briefly about it, and we talked about the Fourth Amendment a little bit. He was probably the best advocate for at least exposing the Patriot Act and all the intricate details of how they intrude on our personal property and wealth and everything else. So hat tip to Judge Knapp. I don't even know where he's at anymore. I'm sure he's somewhere, but
I think he's like semi-retired. I don't think he's
Is he?
really
Yeah.
doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's and I think most people don't really understand how much gobbledygook is in the Patriot Act now, which is, like you said, been rebranded. It's like all of the Department of Homeland Security, like completely redoing all of the border security was all part of that. All the TSA stuff was part of that. So I mean, 52,000. I don't know that I want 52,000 laws, let alone in one act or one bill. That's crazy. Yeah, it's such a gross, disgusting thing that's carried on now for 20 years. Oh.
Well, my question for you, bro, is
Okay.
in 2001,
Yes.
were you all rah Patriot Act?
No, I wasn't rah Patriot Act. I was too ignorant to even know much about what the Patriot Act was or is. I was rah. Okay, I was ignorant and naive in that I was rah, let's get them back, in the sense of I actually thought when we fought a war, we fought a war, we did what we were supposed to do, and we came home. Because I was that naive. So for me, I thought, all right, well, let's go in here, let's deal with this Middle East issue, let's deal with some of these bad people, let's send a message more than anything else, and then we'll be back. That's it. That's what we do. We go and we do our thing and come back. Because the only experience I really had of any significance was these little Clinton skirmishes and the Gulf War, which was, more intrusive in hindsight than I realized, but it was at least the only sample size of what I had is what we would do in foreign policy in modern times. So for me, that's what I had envisioned, and I was rah-rahing. So, and I'm also literally have to, be fully transparent. 9/11 is the reason that I even remotely become political. Like, it literally is the pivot point in my life where I started to read and go, I don't know anything about the world. I don't know who these people are. I don't know anything about terrorism and all this, the Muslim Islamic community. I didn't know any. I mean, I was reading books and I read everything. I read from the far right to the far left, Rush Limbaugh to Michael Moore. And it's been that stepping stone. Those first few years was even trying to get a grasp of information. But I'll be honest, in the beginning, I'm just an ignorant move. I didn't know anything. It wasn't a priority for me either. It was just more of it's part of the curve and the growth that I've been on. Whereas now I want to torch the whole thing.
Well, that's what I was really getting at. I wanted
absolutely.
I wanted to see what your transition was from 2001 to now.
So
concerning this specific topic.
Yeah. So I think that so that's kind of how it went along for a while. And then, I met you later in that decade. And I think you're catching me more into my frustration era I was already frustrated that all this stuff was already lasting too long. I felt like there was already so much misinformation. I'm still an advocate. I don't hate Bush as much as most people do. I always think that some of the PR was the biggest problem, because we were like, well, we were doing some good things here and there, but it was too busy about trying to do, the rebuilding projects and all this other nonsense. And then once you got to the end of that term, like 2007, 2008 financial crisis or whatever, at that point now I was getting to be hardcore libertarian-esque in the sense of, these people are all fools. They're all boobs. I don't know why we're bailing people out. I didn't trust anybody, anything. I had learned what some of the Patriot Act was. I was shocked over, because if you remember, one of my big things that I was fascinated with and spent a lot of my time writing and researching was all the NSA spying, the Utah data center, FISA courts. I mean, all of that was my big turning point for me personally. I'm like, okay, whoa, all of this is going on. And no one believed this. No one believed me. I was a tinfoil hat conspiracy person, that they could hack your laptop, they could listen to you. No one believed me on any of this stuff. And I go back to that Jason Bourne movie where they log into the guy's computer from the car. I'm like, they could do that in 2005. I have proof. You know what I mean? So for me, that was definitely, I'd say, the first phase of me going, please no, make it end. And I'm like you, I thought Obama might try to do some. It was very quick with the way he handled Guantanamo Bay. He was not going to undo the Patriot Act. I was shocked that it really didn't. I don't remember you guys. Do you guys remember it even coming up much under Trump? I don't even think he really discussed, or anyone really discussed, doing much with it. He just did. It was just like not really talked about much.
No, it's really been absent from the news. I mean, I don't know how often they got to renew it, every couple of years or whatever. Maybe every year. I don't remember. But there was. I mean, during Trump, you were going to hear coverage about that anyway. There was just too many other shenanigans for the news to talk about. You know,
it's a sad day. It's a sad day.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the anniversary. Happy anniversary, baby.
It's not happy at all. It's terrible.
No, it's not.
It's terrible at all. Yeah. So I know what else is terrible.
Now it's being used on school boards. Hooray!
Yeah, because you're an extremist. You're a terrorist. So yeah.
Well, you know what I find really interesting out of all that is, every time there's a big crisis like that, you see the government swoop in. People love the government for that short period of time. They look at it as a savior of sorts. The government accumulates power. The TSA, DHS, all these things get accumulated. People start to recognize it's going overboard. They want to go back to the way it was before 9/11, in a way, and it never does. It never goes to pre. Just like now, it's never going to go back to pre-pandemic. They've accumulated enough power, and we're at a point where this is the way it's going to be, maybe a little bit less when this pandemic is over. But they've accumulated all this power in 2001, all this power in 2021. Next crisis, more, and there's going to come. This is it, but it's all going to come to a head eventually.
Yeah, I think we both agree with you 100% there. So this week we had words of wisdom, if you will, from our former president, and I wanted to make sure everybody saw this, because I want to make sure everybody knows what was actually said, because you can't make this stuff up. So he said this. Come on now. What's going on? There we go.
It shut down thousands of small businesses and put millions out of work. We don't have time to be wasting on these phony, trumped-up culture wars, this fake outrage that right-wing media peddles to juice their ratings.
That's it. Got it? Phony, trumped-up culture war, Bob. We're doing our part. We're out here doing it. We're trumping it up. It's all fake. It's all phony. And I think it's only appropriate that we all start just being honest and wear the appropriate merch that lets everybody know that you are a phony, trumped up culture warrior. And there's that. So I'll make sure that you can head over in the link in the description to Redbubble and get the first version of the phony trumped up Culture Warrior merchandise. And we'll continue to try to modify that merchandise to accommodate all of your needs. And there's that. So, Alex, what else you got? You got something you want to throw into the mix now? I mean, I made you at least giggle once this show because I got to make sure I do my part.
No. I've laughed several times on the show, actually.
I got to do my part.
Actually,
I got to do my part.
It's pretty good. The other thing I did want to talk about was that the plan that the government has, that the Democrats are trying to do, actually, about taxing unrealized gains in stocks.
Not just stocks, anything. You could have a business that's an unrealized value. Yes,
real estate, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, if your property value, let's say, went up by 30% for some reason, or you have a business that exploded on the market. So let's say you had a business. Let's say the three of us started a business, and then in a year it took off. It doubled in value. We would owe taxes on that double. It could be worth more. That could be more in taxes than the cash that we have on hand, because it's a valuation. It's not actual cash.
Yeah, I mean, if all your stuff is tied up in that company, and they try to take taxes from you, you're going to have to sell it. Like, they're going to destroy those companies, or damage those companies in an effort to get those taxes.
Well, I think the whole system melts down at that point if this were to go through, because all of the 401k and all of the IRA stuff is all banked on a slow, gradual process. And if you're killing it all, there's no way it makes it out of, like, it would just totally implode on itself. I don't know what you do, because you have massive millions of dollars in union funds. These universities have, I think Harvard has like $1 billion stockpiled up in their like escrow stuff. This stuff would all be taxed. Yeah, their endowment program. Yeah, so all this money is unrealized wealth, but that's not what they're pitching. They're really just trying to target, the Bezos or whatever nonsense they're trying to pitch me. It is a very strange thing that they would want to do. I'm with you. I'm not sure I've spent a lot of time on that story, but I'm just shocked that that's what they want to do. I don't know, Bob, what was your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of predictable that would be coming, and I think it's the brainchild of Janet Yellen, and it's got full support from
Elizabeth Warren.
Liz Warren, yeah, she's like all over that, and yeah, how damaging is that going to be for the American citizen, the American business, and the economy as a whole? You can't even measure it.
And I want to make sure we're on the record. Make sure I do my screen. Okay. If any of you are also loving the meme stocks and using the apps that are free to use, like a Robinhood or a Webull or Public, and you've made money on AMC and GME, this is money they'll take from you because it's unrealized. Even if you haven't sold, let's say you bought AMC when it was $2.50 to $4, and now it runs at 50. Or you bought GME at 14 and it's running close to 200. That's what they're doing. They're coming for you. So there's no fees maybe when you're doing this trading, but that's unrealized, and they will come and get it. And that's a lot of people who are lefties, Democrats, or whatever, trading stocks because they're not in this job market. It's a lot of people. I think Alex and I had a segment a few weeks and weeks ago where we talked about people that left the job market or whatever. And some of them just like, we locked them up. They found ways to make money on their own. Some of them are just selling stocks and stuff. They realize, listen, I only got to make a few $1,000s. I don't have to make $100,000 like they tell you on TV. There's no fees, so I can just do it this way. So yeah, unrealized taxation. Shapiro made an offhanded comment in one of his shows because I just kind of listened to them at times. I fast forward, so maybe he did elaborate. But he made a comment about being illegal, and I think he'd made a comment like he'd reviewed the code or something. He's a lawyer. He's into all that stuff. So I'll take his word that he did look at something, but who knows what will happen there. So, Bob, last several weeks we've done this whole, what are you listening to? What do you like thing? YouTube in particular. I'm going to try to make a little video clip called Down the Rabbit Hole. So we'll do that at some point. I don't think I'm going to get in trouble. I did make a little video. I thought I'd share with you guys. This is my new little video. I thought I'd share it with you while I find that.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to a containment anomaly, all guests must take shelter immediately.
My favorite quality about Pops is that he's incredibly honest. At least you always know where you stand with Pops. So I like that. He'll give it to you straight down both barrels.
And here's the man who made it happen. That towering colossus of moxie.
As you can hear the chants from the crowd. As you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Right there, Alice. Right there, baby. They'll be in the mail. You'll get them any day now. LGB. LGB. All right, Bob.
Nice.
Down the rabbit hole for you. What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading?
Oh, well, I
got something new to talk about.
Yeah, one of the YouTube channels that I frequent. It's kind of funny. Let me try to bring it up real quick. I have been pointing out music videos lately, but I want to. This is a cartoon. I don't know if you ever saw this one. It's called Freedom Tunes.
Oh, yeah. Freedom Tunes is amazing.
Yeah. Just little short clips. I don't know, 2-3 minutes. And whenever they do Shapiro's caricature, you're going to lose a bladder because they do it so well. But yeah, really good stuff. They do a really good job on it. She, I don't know who does it. But yeah, that's one of the YouTube channels I like to frequent.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I'm with you there. I definitely have catch those as they pop up. Alex, what about you, man? You got something that you're checking out or doing regularly? Something new to the mix that you have discovered?
No, I'll have something for you next week, but not this week. But I am going to have to let you go now. I got some work I got to do because I'm still at the office, and somebody is giving me an evil eye. So I will see you guys next week.
See you, Alex.
No problem at all, my friend. You take care. Unattended
Have a good
Baggage.
evening, guys.
Links are in the description. Go check them out. Support them. Take care, Alex.
They see you.
All right. I cannot get my stuff to flip over and show you, Bob. I did actually have somebody, and it was music related because I thought that was like a consistent theme, and now I can't get it to open. It's not wanting to cooperate. I have too many windows open. That's the problem. The streaming stuff gets me spoiled, and I have too many windows, and then I can't change accounts because we're streaming under News Talk, and it's under my other account because I don't listen to my personal stuff on the News Talk account, so that's why I can't flip the account to pull it up. So, but yeah, the YouTube universe is where I spend a lot of my time. I will say I've watched some different movies and things like that, but I just while I'm working, just the stuff's just playing, so I'm in that same place. Yeah.
So.
That's
good entertainment. Sometimes good information. I still do the talk shows, but it's more balanced than it used to be when I used to work with you. It was like 100% talk shows, and now it's 50-50 between entertainment and politics and whatever.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro are the two that I probably most consistently listen to, but I fast forward because I only care about the stories that they're talking about. I don't really need to listen to them for 30 minutes about it or whatever. And that seems to be the case. And there are some shows where they'll talk about one story for 30 minutes, 40. I mean, it's absurd. And then sometimes there's duplication. I spend more time listening to the nerdy stuff and the fun stuff and that kind of stuff than I do political stuff. I just don't. But I will say, and I pulled it up during the pre-show. I will say this. I'll throw this into the mix. Because on our pre-show, I talked about this. This has actually become a bit of an addiction, and it is quite disturbing and awesome at the same time. So let me get into search because I got to get it to load. It's on Twitter. I don't know. Are you on Twitter at all, Bob? Do you really play with it at all?
I use it mostly for connections and marketing. But yeah, I do meet a lot of people via Twitter. I've done some couple podcasts recently just are kind of just regular people just talking to them, and they were both from people I knew from Twitter.
The Libs of TikTok. It's a Twitter page.
Nice.
I talked about it earlier. They broke a story, and yeah, it's such bizarre stuff. So let's listen in.
I was walking down the street. Story time. So the other day, I was walking down the street with my dog Stevie, and I came across this guy on this park bench. Now, keep in mind that I was wearing tight sweatpants. I was looking cute. I was,
They're cute, Bob. Looking cute.
This is exactly the type of videos that Matt Walsh likes to dissect.
I don't know how I ended up in this little universe of them, but this is insane. I don't care what they say. He's looking cute.
Walking with my dog Stevie. And when this guy saw me, he screamed at me, "Yo, faggot, you can't be wearing those girly sweatpants."
All right, well, okay. No one should be saying that, just so we're clear. That's why can't you just ignore this person? Why do you have to scream profanity at him like that? That's awful.
Now, I'm used to that kind of stuff, and I would usually just keep walking, keep my head down. But on this particular day, Stevie decided that he needed to pee right then and right there. So here I am with this guy who had...
So you know how bad that's going to go. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to move on. But yeah, this is just a shocking sample size of some of the incredible stuff, especially gender-related stuff. Yeah, and they post so much content. It's just incredible. So yeah, we covered this story. I did that little clip. I did another couple clips earlier when I did my little pre-show. So yeah, I have to admit I get an alert on all of their postings. That's pretty good. I have to be honest. Yeah. And it's just because I need to. If I don't have a finger on the pulse of the insanity, there's no way for me to understand how to navigate through how can we remotely push back on it.
No, I get that. I refuse to be involved in the whole TikTok phenomenon.
Oh, no, I'm not on TikTok. I just
no, I know. I didn't say you
it's
were
on Twitter. Yeah.
I
would never be on TikTok.
Just myself, but when people do cover it in their videos and stuff, I always find it pretty interesting because it's hard to imagine that people are actually like that, you know.
Oh, they're worse than that.
Yeah. But the thought processes and the stuff they yell about and get angry about, and it's just like, good grief, people.
Well, so since we're on insane, this was my find this week that I have not spent much time on because I could not believe how insane all of this is. So there is a website. Where's the list? We got to find the list. Let's see. Non-binary. All right. So there's a website called Pronouny, and it's like this database of pronouns. And the good ones aren't popping up, but it just shows you how crazy this is getting. Like, this is nuts. So this is, she, her, hers, herself, Mac, Mackie, Macin, machines, machine self. Kid you not. Fern, ferns, fern self. So it's this database of all of these pronouns. And there was lizard. I know I saw lizard and wait, here we go. Full list. Here we go. That's what it was. Okay. Full list. Yeah. Some people, these are considered what I don't understand how we can have emojis as a pronoun. Like, how do we have navigation through language? This is the unicorns. Yeah. It's just, they're just random words. It's just random words made into.
And the sad thing is people want this to be taken seriously. It's like.
Technically, pops is a pronoun. Look at that. Pop, bop, pops, bops, and pop self.
All right,
so
man.
Technically, my name is a pronoun. I don't have to have another pronoun.
You need to put it in your signature block.
Pop/pop self is what I'll say.
All right, bro.
I don't want to say, man. We cover all sorts of crazy and good and fun and whatever, and it is what it is. So another week down. It's been a good week. We've had some good videos, some good responses on a few. That was good. Got caught up on clips this week. So go over, folks, to the YouTube channel. You can see a lot of clips there. We got caught up on some of that stuff and some coming out for the next couple of days. So great show as always, Bob. Appreciate all your help and feedback as always. You take care and have a good rest of your week.
All right. You take care, my brother. Be good.
See you.